Attribute number 11, Giver of Strength, Part 4, Meditation number 41. Eternal, supreme, tireless, unsearchable strengthener of the weary. Isaiah 40, 27-31. Why do you say, O Jacob, and complain, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord, my cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the Creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and His understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait for the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They'll run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. What is wonderful about this attribute? When we fall into worry, complaining, or despair, it's because we are assuming that our way is hidden from God. He has stopped watching over us and attending to us, and that He has disregarded our concerns. If we really believed that He had regard for our concerns and was watching over us, what cause would there be for worry or despair? So Isaiah makes an argument based on the nature of God for why such an attitude is irrational and unfounded. In verse 28, Isaiah describes some attributes of God, and then in verses 29-31 draws the conclusion, based on those attributes, that the weak will be strengthened. The solution to the problem of worry and despair, then, is to understand and believe in God's credentials as a strengthener. The everlasting God, eternal and tireless. God is the source of His own sustenance, and it is therefore impossible for Him to run out of strength or to be low on supply. He keeps Himself going. God has an infinite track record of never being depleted in any way. If He declined at even the slightest rate, He would have run out of strength altogether in eternity past. And the Creator of the ends of the earth, the source of all the power there is. Anyone else who attempts to make you strong is dependent upon other resources of strength. A personal trainer cannot simply impart strength to you. He can give you vitamins or a special diet or a plan to help you sleep well, but he is dependent upon the nutrients, sleep, and the natural processes of the body and soul to bring you to a point of strength. As the Creator, God depends upon nothing. He can give you any amount of strength He pleases without any secondary means. Next, His understanding no one can fathom. He's unsearchable. It is impossible to interpret His actions apart from whatever interpretation He reveals. So any apparent disregard for your well-being must be interpreted according to what He has said, and He has promised never to disregard the well-being of His children. When we interpret circumstances otherwise, we are like a little child who looks at the circuitry of a supercomputer and judges it to be a worthless mess. Next, He gives strength to the weary. God is the giver of strength to the well-rested also, but there's something about His character that makes Him especially the giver of strength to the weary. That tells us two important things about what God is like. First, it shows that God's strength-giving is independent of your getting rest. You can be exhausted, going on 3 days without sleep, depleted emotionally, taxed, fatigued, and spent. And even in that condition, God can supply an inner strength that enables you to accomplish great things. Spiritual strength can propel you even through times of physical and emotional weakness. Secondly, it shows that in God's heart there is a special concern for those who are tired and weary. He is the Father of compassion, and His great infinite heart feels for you when you are weak. Your great high priest has experienced weakness and fatigue, and His heart of compassion for you causes Him to be eager to grant you strength, a strength that is better, stronger, longer lasting than the strength of young men. What effect would it have on your heart if you were to consciously experience God as giver of strength today? Experiencing this attribute. The Lord grants strength to His children. However, He does not grant it automatically or immediately. In order to receive it, the weary one must wait for God. Verse 31. Waiting involves two parts. Number 1, eager anticipation, and number 2, refusing any substitute or alternative. We must look to God alone for our strength. Strength does not come from food or sleep or any other source besides God, which is why sometimes you can get 9 hours of sleep and still have no energy or motivation. We must never fall into the error of thinking, if I could just get some rest, or if these circumstances would just change, then I could have strength. We must always think, if God grants me strength, I will be strong, period. And if He does not, I will not, period. We should still eat well, exercise, and get adequate sleep, since those are God's normal means of granting strength. But we must also remember that strength will come to us through those things only if it is granted by God, since He is the only source. So look to God alone for your strength. Consider the attributes in this passage. Think long and hard about them until you feel a sense of hope and eager anticipation for the experience of being strengthened by God that He has promised. And then keep your focus on that and refuse to forfeit it by reverting to some sin or by trusting in some other source of strength or by quitting on what God has called you to do. Just wait in enthusiastic, glad confidence until the promised strengthening comes. It is also very important in the times when you are strong that you do not attribute that strength to anything but the direct gift of God. It is crucial that we train our souls to connect the wonderful sensation of being strong with God's grace, so that in times of weakness, the thought of receiving grace will be a delightful, hope-generating thought. Think, in what ways are you most in need of strengthening from God? How could you apply the principles of this passage to your need for strength in that area? Promise to trust today. Isaiah 40:31. Those who wait for the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.